And the game of the year is... Mon ami Clair-Obscur, Expedition 33!
Expedition 33.
Clair-Obscur, Expedition 33.
It can't be that good, right? Well, I'm trying to platinum every game I own, and today we have the 2025 Game of the Year. Released in 2025 and developed by Sandful Interactive, Clair-Obscur Expedition 33 is a controversial game, with many people saying that it did not deserve Game of the Year and that it robbed other titles from that award. So because I haven't played it, I decided to go for the Platinum and see if it really deserves to be Game of the Year. There are a total of 56 trophies, and it is rated 5 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. So without further ado, let's hop straight into the video. The game starts with a cutscene of our protagonist Gustav staring at this giant monolith with the number 34 written on it, where a girl called Maëlle joins us, telling us that we will be late for a celebration and to follow her. And she is fast. We barely managed to catch up to her, and once we do, she challenges us to a duel, where we absolutely destroy her, and we go down to meet this girl named Sophie, which is our protagonist's crush, I guess. We go down to the port together, where we watch this statue below the monolith stand up and remove the number 34, turning it into the number 33, and when she did that, dozens of people started disappearing in front of us, along with Sophie. Apparently the number on the monolith indicates people's age, and if your age is above that number, then you just simply disappear. But if your age is below that number, then your time will also eventually come sooner or later. But not to worry, as every year, an expedition is sent to go and try to take down the paintress, which is this giant statue below the monolith, so that once she's dead, she can no longer erase more people. But unfortunately no expedition has returned so far, and the next expedition that is going to be sent is, yep, you guessed it, Expedition 33, which is our expedition. We celebrate the passing of all 34-year-olds with some wine and good food, and then our sister Emma comes along and holds a speech for all the expeditioners. And with that out of the way, we sail our ships and go to take down the paintress, which just locked us out of 2 missable trophies, and we'll have to start a new game afterwards to get them. Off to a good start. But we still get a trophy here called Lumiere, which we get for embarking on the expedition. We land on a nearby beach where we encounter this old guy, which is way older than 33, and we asked him how he managed to survive the gommage, aka the disappearing. But instead of answering our questions, he decided to just start killing everyone for no reason and wipes out our expedition one by one. We also get beamed along with everybody else, but fortunately we survive and we wake up on a strange island, where we then get up and we start to look for other survivors. We arrive at a nearby cave, where we unfortunately find the bodies of our expedition, along with previous ones. And with all hope lost, our protagonist just decides to end it, literally 1 hour into the game. Right as we're about to pull the trigger, we're stopped by this girl named Lune, who was also a part of our expedition and is somehow still alive. And all I can say is, Sandful really cooked with the female characters in this game. We were then ambushed by another monster, which in this game are called Nevrons, and after successfully taking it down, we go ahead with Lune and search for more survivors. After a few minutes of searching, we stumble upon our second survivor, but he quickly gets bodied in just a couple of seconds of screen time. Like damn, this game does not mess around with killing off characters. We take on the Nevron that killed our friend, and we get 2 trophies here. One of them called Time to Spill Some Ink, which is for breaking and stunning an enemy, and the second one is called Overcharge, for using Gustav's overcharge skill when it is fully charged. After taking down the Nevron, we stumble upon a message carved on a tree, which tells us that another member of our expedition is alive and that they've been taken somewhere up north. Lune thinks it's a trap, but with no other leads and nowhere else to go, we decide to check out the place anyways, granting us our next trophy called Spring Meadows for completing our first dungeon. We arrive at the location where our friend is captured, and we do a little puzzle in order to get our next trophy called Paint Cage, which we get for successfully solving this puzzle and breaking the cage. We then find a manor door in the middle of nowhere, which somehow teleports us inside of it. Once inside, we explore the manor a little bit, and we find Maëlle, which was the survivor that was mentioned on the message. She tells us that she also passed out on the beach, and that she woke up in this manor, along with this guy who appears to be friendly for some reason, which I guess you can't judge a book by its cover. We decide to leave the manor to look for other leads, but this guy stops us and doesn't let us go unless we fight him. But he quickly regrets it and let us go. Once outside, this tiny fella jumps out of nowhere thinking we're Nevrons, and he tries to fight us as well. And after clearing the misunderstandings, he seems pretty friendly. We tell him our plan to defeat the paintress, and he tells us that we won't be able to make it there unless we get some help from their village chief, so that is where we decide to go next. But right as we're about to leave this place, another giant Nevron ambushes us, and while fighting him, we get another trophy called Perfect Flow for consuming these stains 4 times in a row with Lune. We take the Nevron down, but he still manages to escape, which is fine by us, and we can finally leave this place. And this is also where we get our next trophy called Flying Waters for completing the dungeon. We set up a camp for the night, and also the guy that we beat up at the manor is also here for some reason, and he offers us some of his services, where we get our next trophy called Weapon Upgrade for upgrading one of our weapons. We also get another trophy here called Lumina, which is for consuming a Lumina point for one of our characters. We then arrive at our next location where we need to find the Gestural village that Noko was talking about, and on our way there we are ambushed again by a giant Gestural, thinking that we're intruders, which we technically are, so we still end up fighting him. Once we defeated the giant Gestural and now that their tough guy is gone, they are more than happy to show us the way into the village, which also grants us our next trophy called Ancient Sanctuary for completing the dungeon. We arrive at the Gestural village and we talk to their chief, where we tell her what our plan is and she offers to help us and tells us to go meet a Gestural named SK. But in order to meet him, we need to know a password, which in order to get, we need to fight in this tournament they host. Having no other choice, we decide to fight in the tournament, and the first few opponents are just some easy Gestural fights that we don't break a sweat on. So we easily get to the finale, and our opponent this time is not a Gestural, but instead one of our expedition friends that also survived. We still need to win to get the password though, so we defeat her as well, and we win the tournament. We go back to the village chief to get the password, and apparently the password is to just shout "get out of my way" as loud as we can. Pretty weird password, but who are we to judge? Anyways, we leave the village, and we also get a trophy called the Gestural Village, which is for successfully beating the tournament and getting the password. Before we go meet up with SK, we set up a camp again where Mal has a nightmare about the guy that almost killed our full expedition, along with another girl beside him called Alicia, and trust me, these nightmares are gonna play an important role later on. She then wakes up horrified and we try to calm her down, and she tries to tell us what she saw, but she's still in shock, so we just leave the details for another time. Once we are properly rested, it is finally time to meet with SK. We arrive at the location and there is a guard at the entrance asking for a password, and after some careful consideration on who should tell a password, we decide on Gustav since he is the loudest one. And so we stand in front of the guard and we tell him the password while yelling as hard as we can, and the guard takes that personally and just tells us that he didn't know what the password was. And this poor guy just thought we were straight up bullying him. Golgra, you better watch your back for this. Anyways, he lets us in and we finally meet face to face with SKA, which is this giant Gestural that can fly and swim, and we ask him to take us to the painters, but he tells us
I ain't Ezra.
so in order for him to carry us all, he needs some kind of rocks that can help him get stronger, and one of those rocks is held by his neighbor living next to him. We go meet up with his neighbor, which we kindly ask him to give us the rock, and he kindly tells us that he isn't giving us nothing, so we have to take him down in order to get the rock. We don't actually kill him though, since he's still SK's friend, and since we defeated him, he gives us the rock without any other problems. We return to SK to hand over the rock, but upon taking a closer look, it looks like it is not the rock that we're looking for, and apparently the real rock is somewhere in a place called the Stormwave Cliffs. We decide to go together with SK and the others to retrieve the rock, granting us 2 trophies, one called Legend for unlocking SK and another one called SK's Nest for successfully completing the dungeon. Before we go after the rock, we set up a camp and Mile gets another nightmare where we see the old man and the woman again, and also the manor getting burned down with Gustav trapped inside. Like I said, this will all make sense later. We then make our way inside the Stormwave Cliffs, where this giant Nevron appears out of nowhere, but our boy SK bodies him in just one hit. I didn't know he was chill like that. While fighting another Nevron, we got our next trophy called Synergy for using Miles' spear skill on a marked enemy. We make our way inside the cave where we fight this giant Nevron, and the fight goes pretty well, and SK finally gets his first rock back, and everything is fine until this old man comes out of nowhere again, and we all know how our last encounter with him ended. So the same thing happens again, and this guy literally fires his sword to us, and Gustav, with his organs probably disintegrated by now, tries to fight him again. Like, bro, did you not learn your lesson the last 2 times? Well, the fight ends as expected and he stabs us one final time, and our protagonist actually dies this time? Bro, we aren't even halfway into the game yet and we already lost the MC. Right as Mile is about to meet Gustav in the afterlife, this guy appears out of nowhere and saves the day. They seem to know each other with the old man and he convinces him to spare us. He then tells us he also wants to take down the paintress, so we invite him to our team because we'll get any help we can at this point. This is also where we get our next trophy called Stormwave Cliffs for completing the dungeon. We bring this guy with us back to camp and we learn that he was also part of a previous expedition and he also survived the Gommage. Apparently he was a part of Expedition 0, aka the first expedition, and the old man was also part of it, so they have some sort of connection there. He tells us his name is Verso and that the old man's name is Renoir, and if we want to take down Renoir, we have to defeat the paintress first because she gives him immortality. But before we continue with the hunt, Mal wants to bury Gustav, or at least what's left of him, which is this prosthetic arm that Renoir was kind enough to spare from eradication. We continue to go further up north and we're ambushed by Nevron again, who just casually destroys the bridge we're standing on and we have to fight him underground, which is where we got our next trophy called Perfection action for achieving S rank with Verso. We managed to beat him and we get this cool victory animation which was so peak I had to include it in the video. We then finally arrive at the graveyard where we bury Gustav's prosthetic arm, granting us the next trophy called Forgotten Battlefield for completing this dungeon. The next place that we're headed for is a train station further up north, where a friend of Verso lives there, which we need in order to take down the Paintress's heart, so that we can get close to the Paintress herself. After arriving there, Verso's friend jumps out of nowhere and tries to kill us. Maybe this is how they greet each other here, I don't know. We put him in his place, and after the fight, Noko runs up to us saying that another has attacked the station, so we team up with Monaco to take him down, and once we do, we find out that this guy has the power to turn into any of the Neverun he kills, so it's a good thing he's on our side. We also get another trophy called Expedition 33 for unlocking all playable characters, and another one called Monaco Station for completing the dungeon. Our next stop is Old Lumiere, which is where the Paintress's heart is located. We were blocked by this building and we can't go any further, but not to worry as Monaco can take it down pretty easily. Right? Well, he does, but he also destroys everything around us as well, leaving us scattered around. We wake up on one side of the team with Seal, Lune and Monaco, and we head forward to regroup with everyone. We stumble upon a journal and expedition road, which was also accompanied by Verso, and we learn that Renoir, the old guy that wiped our whole expedition, is actually Verso's dad, and he is now stranded on the other side with Mael, which is clueless at the moment, where we take care of some Neverons together, and he decides to just disappear, and now we are left alone. Well, technically Noko is still with us, but he's just there for moral support. We make our way forward where we stumble upon a familiar manor, and when we approach it, the door opens and this thing opens the door for us. Right as she does that, Verso comes back out of nowhere again to fight her, but he just gets blown away. Like, calm your horses, man, we gotta listen to the villain speech first. Also, Renor is here, along with the girl that Mal kept seeing in her dreams. He steps out of the manor and the door closes behind him, and Verso and him get into an argument while Mal still doesn't know that they're actually father and son. So Renor reveals the truth to us, and right at that moment Luna and the others arrive. But before we get an explanation, we decide to fight Renor once again, but this time we're ready and we can finally have a fair fight with him. Right as we're about to kill him, he launches his ult and blows us all up, but we somehow miraculously survive and we find out that Noko actually took the bullet for us and saved us. I'm sorry, little guy. I shouldn't have treated you so harshly. Right after that, someone activates their stand power and stops time, and we see this girl again for a few seconds, but she doesn't say anything and goes back into the manor and disappears with it. Runner also manages to escape and we fail to take down the Paintress's heart. We do get a trophy though called Old Lumiere for completing the dungeon, so we're not walking out empty-handed. We go back to our camp to ask this guy if he can help us make a weapon that can defeat the Paintress, and he tells us to go and defeat some accents, which are the highest and strongest form of Neverons, and by defeating them we can get the required amount of chroma to craft the weapon. We make our way to the first accent on the list, and while fighting some enemies on our way there, we get a trophy called Expeditioner, which is for reaching level 33 with a character. And I really don't know what their obsession with the number 33 is, but I guess it's some sort of an inside joke. We finally get to the first accent, and it's this giant Neveron with 3 masks on top of him. The fight is pretty easy, and at the end he tries to brainwash us, but still manages to not get affected by it and lands the final blow on him, granting us the trophy first accent for successfully defeating the first accent. After that, we make our way towards the second accent, which is this giant dancing mannequin which can mesmerize and control us, but we all quickly snap out of it and we start descending towards her. We also take this guy out on the way there which controls the mannequins around her, and with him out of the picture, the fight against the accent will be much easier now. We make our way to her, and when we arrive there, she starts projecting illusions of people that everyone lost, but Verso is the only one not affected by it, so she gets mad and just destroys all the other illusions. I guess you can call this a successful rage bait. This fight is a bit trickier than the first one and we die a few times here, but we manage to beat her after a few times, and she does the same thing as the first accent, where she starts blasting loud noise into our ears, but this time Luna is the one that's not affected, and she lands the final blow on her, granting us the trophy called second accent for successfully defeating her. With both of the accents now defeated, we go back to this guy and he forges us our new weapon, which will help us defeat the Paintress. With no other obstacle between us, we are finally ready to go and take on the Paintress. We make our way to the monolith and there is a giant invisible wall that surrounds it, but thanks to our new weapon we manage to break it and we can finally get inside. We make our way to the Paintress and we get ready to fight her, but our attacks do no damage to her and she's just standing there without a care in the world. We realize we can't kill her this way, and right at that moment we get teleported to the real Paintress, which she then proceeds to start burning our faces, and after a few seconds of pain and suffering she just decides to leave and refuses to elaborate. She leaves the portal open though, so we quickly get inside to chase after her, which which grants us the next trophy called Monolith for reaching the real Monolith this time. Once inside, we make our way through some familiar areas that we've been through previously, and we finally reach the top where the Paintress is waiting. And also Renoir is also there to protect her. So we get into one final fight with him to end this once and for all. We take him down, but this guy gets up again, fully heals himself, and is ready to fight again. And right as we're about to get cooked, this guy that's been with us the whole time comes along, and he helps us defeat Renoir for real this time. We successfully make Renoir gommage, and he also disappears, leaving the Paintress the only one that needs taken care of. We find her at the top of the monolith, and she starts talking about Versa and Mal being her son and daughter, and I'm confused as much as you are here, but she snaps out of it, and we finally get to fight her. We defeat her and she dies in our arms, making me feel like we're the actual villains in this story. But anyways, with her being finally dead, the number on the monolith disappears, so no more people are going to die, which grants us the trophy, the Paintress, for successfully defeating her. We then go back to Lumiere to celebrate our victory, and we live happily ever after. Is what I like to say, except a giant shockwave comes from the monolith and wipes out every last human being left. Yes, everyone, even Mile, along with our whole expedition. Now this was honestly a plot twist I was not expecting, I'm gonna give it to this one, Sandfall. But the story is not yet over, as we wake up again in a flashback as this girl named Alicia. Yes, the same Alicia that kept appearing in Miles' dreams. And we're also in the same manner that we kept seeing previously. We enter a painting room where we meet our sister Clea, and we find out that the world that just got fully wiped out was actually a fake world, and that the Paintress and Renoir were actually our mother and father. And do you remember that dream that Mile kept having about Gustav being in a fire? Yeah, that was actually our brother who apparently died to save us from a fire that burned down the manor. And the world that we were just in a few moments ago is actually a fake world that our brother painted before he died. And now our mother, aka the Paintress, doesn't want to leave the canvas because that was the only thing she had left of him. But the longer she stays in the canvas, the more corrupted she becomes. So our father, in order to stop her, entered the canvas to pull her out, but ended up being sealed inside. And so we also go inside to pull them both out, but we end up panicking while being transported into the canvas world, and we get trapped inside as well, being reborn as Mal with all our memories lost. But now that we defeat the Paintress and we unsealed the real Renoir, we get all our memories back, and together with Verso, who didn't disappear along with everyone else for some reason, maybe because he's this world's version of our brother, but we don't know. Anyways, we go together to meet up with our dad and leave the canvas together, and once we meet up with him, he says that the only way to keep our mother away from the canvas is to destroy everything that is inside of it. Yes, that includes Verso. And so Mal does not support this decision, and she refuses to let him destroy the canvas, because she also does not want the last memory of her brother to be erased. We get into an argument which quickly turns into another fight, and Renoir starts destroying everything around us anyways. And just as Verso is about to be erased, my boy SK comes in and saves the day along with Monaco. We're too weak to fight our old man right now, so we fall back to wait for a better opportunity to strike, which grants us the trophy called Back to Lumiere for returning to our hometown. We go back to camp and we try to awaken our true powers, but it's to no avail. So Verso comes along and gives us some tips on how to use our powers, and we finally learn how to use them, and we also bring back Seal and Luna in the process. We tell them the full story and we come up with a plan to defeat our father. Since he controls all the chroma in this world, our odds aren't exactly tipped in our favor, but we can still use some old chroma from people that have been killed by Neverons to bring them back to life and use them to get a small advantage when going against Renoir. So that is exactly what we do, and we are now ready to face him and not die instantly. Except this is where we will do a big detour and go for some other side trophies and grind down some better gear before taking on the final boss, so that we hopefully make the fight a bit easier against him. We go to fight this world boss called Sprung, and we get the trophy called Wheel Control for casting an upgraded skill with Monaco 4 times in a row. And we also get another trophy called Sprung for successfully defeating the world boss. The next trophy we got is called Curious, which we get for witnessing an optional scene in the camp when we decide to check up on the others. The next trophy that we're going for is called Mal, which is for reaching the max relationship level with her. And basically how you increase the level is you go up and talk to them in the camp, and at the end of the conversation, your relationship level increases with them by 1. She tells us that she wants to go meet up with Alicia, aka Versa's sister in this world, to go and apologize to her. And so we go there together with everyone to meet up with her, where she stops time again, except for Mael, and she brings us in front of another accent where she challenges us to a duel for some reason. Anyways, we win the duel, and then we just casually walk away together. And also time starts again. She then asks us to kill her so she can go back to her family, and so we grant her wish even though Versa doesn't want to. We then go back to camp and tell Versa the full story, and we explain to him what we did was right for her. So he understands our decision, and we have one more conversation together where Mel asks us about that time Runner killed Gustav and whether we could have saved him. And apparently Verso could, but he didn't want us finding the real truth about this world too soon. Mel understands our decision as well, and we sit alone for a little longer. And with that, our relationship with her is on the max level, and we get the trophy. The next trophy we got is called Professional, which is for defeating any type of boss without taking any damage. And now we're finally ready to go back and fight Renoir. He's still holed up in Lumiere waiting for us, so we head there and we fight our way through some Neverons that have swarmed the place, and so we finally reach him and we fight him for like the 100th time or something. The first phase goes smooth, and then for the second phase the marionette accent appears again and she just keeps on healing him, making him invincible. But the Pinterest also comes along to her rescue this time, and she quickly takes down the accent, leaving us with one final fight with Manor for real this time. We manage to get him to low health and he tries to fly away, but our girl Mel jumps in and brings him back to the ground. This scene was honestly top 5 moments in the whole game for me. We also got our next trophy called Trailbreaker for reaching level 66 with a character, and so Renor finally dies and he goes back to the real world. But now Rosso jumps into a portal and we have to chase after him. We go inside and we find the kid version of Gustav, which is the only one keeping the canvas together by now, and Rosso wants him to stop painting so Mel can go home. Apparently he agrees with Renor and doesn't want Mel to go down the same path as her mother, but Mel still doesn't want to go back, so we get the option to pick on which side we want to be, whether to play with Mel and keep the boy painting so that she can continue living in this world, or play as Verso to stop the boy and send Mel back home. We decide to go with our girl Mel, and so we defeat Verso and we say our goodbyes to him. With no one left to stop us, we can now finally rebuild this world to our liking, and that is what we do. We also bring back everyone that died back to life, and we all go to the opera house together to watch the repainted Verso's piano performance, which also grants us the trophy called The End for finally completing the game. The epilogue was a little bit confusing for me, but overall it was a great story. Now that we have the main trophies out of the way, we can finally move on to the side trophies. One of them being called An for killing this giant flying serpent, which took me quite a while to kill since he just kept sucking my AP and I couldn't use any skills on him. But after changing a couple of strategies, we finally beat him and we get the trophy. The next trophy we got is called Weapon Mastery, which is for upgrading our weapons level to the max, and of course the max level is going to be 33. We then talk to SK to get another trophy called Plane, Train and Submarine, where we learn that there is one more rock that needs to be found in order for SK to unlock his full potential. And where might that rock be, you ask? If you guessed all the way back to where we first met SK, then you would be right. Apparently that stone turtle did in fact have one of the real rocks with him, so we come up with the perfect plan with SK on how to get it back. We decide to make him his own rock in exchange for SK's. This should go well, right? Well, long story short, we end up in a fight again, where we beat him again unfortunately, and he finally gives us the rock. And he also wants to keep the rock that we made for him, but it's not because he likes it or anything. Anyways, we get the rock back and we give it to SK and the trophy pops. Up next we have some grinding, and I mean a lot of grinding, because the next trophy called Survivor needs us to reach level 99, aka the max level. And you might be thinking, oh, well, since we're in the end game, there shouldn't be that many levels to go, right? Well, you're kinda half right, as we're in fact close with the levels, but the amount of XP that it takes to get from one level to another, yeah, it takes like 20 million for the last few levels. If you decide to go the normal route and casually defeat random enemies as you go, then you should be able to reach level 99 before GT6 comes out. So the only way to get there without losing your sanity is by using XP farms, unfortunately. And even those took quite a while to do. After a lot of boring hours of just farming and farming, we finally get the trophy and we are finally free from the grind. The next trophy on the list is called Clea, and in order to get this trophy we have to go on this island and defeat a couple of very powerful endgame enemies, and once we defeat all of them, a giant door opens and inside of it is our sister Clea. Well, at least this world's Clea, as the real Clea is probably throwing baguettes to her parents right now, trying to stop them from getting inside the canvas again. Anyways, we beat her easily because we have a one-shot build which grants us the trophy, and I know she probably had some sick fighting animations, but we had to get rid of her as fast as possible. It turns out we actually can't kill her, and the only way for her to die is to actually do it herself, and she actually does it, which is a win for us, I guess. So with Cleagan, we have one more family member that we need to raise, and boy oh boy was I in for a ride. The next trophy on the list is called Jeshal Games, and it is one of the worst trophies in this game. In order to get this trophy, we have to go to 5 different locations and play 5 different minigames, and none of them were fun. The first one had us doing some platforming to get to the other side, but the mechanics were so dumb and unresponsive, and I just kept falling off and having to do it from the beginning since there were no checkpoints. Overall, pretty boring and annoying minigame. The next one is Volleyball, which had the most unresponsive and dumb hitboxes in the entire game. In this minigame, you have to hit these tiny gestures and throw them back at the other guy, but almost every third or fourth shot ended up just being a complete miss even though I clearly hit the guy. Another bad minigame because of the awful design. The third one was probably the worst one, as you had to climb up these random objects to the top, and if you fall even once, the minigame somehow manages to throw you all the way back to the start, even though there are some objects that can stop it. If you've played only up or chain together, you know the exact frustration I'm talking about. The fourth one was finally a decent one, where you had to run and get to the destination as fast as possible, and I did this on my first try and it was pretty fun. Now if only all the other minigames were like this one. For the fifth one, we had to climb up this tower while rocks are falling from above you. And this level was pure RNG because the time it takes to move to another ledge was so long and overall just pretty poorly balanced. Now I know these are all just major skill issues and I completely agree with you, but they really just felt like Unreal Engine slot minigames that brought more frustration than fun to the game. Anyways, enough of my rant, we finished the final minigame and we finally get our trophy. The next trophy on the list is called Lost Gestrels, which is for finding all these missing Gestrels around the world. There weren't that many of them and it was pretty fun collecting them. Next up I decided to clear out some relationship trophies, starting with Seal. It's pretty much the same thing where you go up to them in camp and you talk a bit together and learn some interesting stuff about them. Apparently Seal had a husband and when he died she tried to drown herself, which made her scared of water, but right before she drowned someone saved her and that is why she's alive today. So we managed to overcome her fear by swimming together and teaching her the basics. I know what kind of man you are, Verso. After a few swimming lessons we finally get to know each other better, and with that we get the max relationship level with her and we get the trophy. Next up is SK's trophy, and his conversations are more about learning Verso's life rather than SK's, but they're pretty fun and wholesome and we get the trophy at the end. The next character trophy is Monaco, and he tells us about a sacred river that is used for reviving dead Gestrels and that he wants to bring Noko back. Looking back at the heroic deed that Noko did for us back then, we agree to help him with zero hesitation. We go to the river together with Monaco, and right as we're about to revive Noko, Golgor, the village chief, appears out of nowhere and she does not want us to revive him. But after beating her up, she lets us break him back and that is what we do. And we also get our payback for that password incident a while ago. We revive Noko, but when a Gestrel is revived, they don't get to keep their best memories unfortunately, so he doesn't remember us. And so Golgor insists to bring him back to their village because that is the safest place for him. So we agree and we part our ways with him. We go back to camp to talk a little bit more with Monaco and we get the trophy. Up next we have the relationship trophy for Lune, where we also learn some new things about her, like the fact that she loves composing music and that her parents were a part of a previous expedition that died, and now Lune wants to retrieve their journal to see what their final words were. Verso knows where the place is, so we take her there, and after defeating this giant serpent, we get the journal and we make her wish come true. Once we're back at camp, we go talk to her again, and she asks us to help her with her her music. And so we agree and we go to the forest to practice the music. You can't keep getting away with this, Verso. Anyways, we get back from the forest like nothing ever happened and we get the trophy. With all the character trophies out of the way, the next trophy on the list is called Maximization, where we have to consume 20 of these cards with Seal in a single hit, and I'll be completely honest with y'all, I barely used her the entire game. And I had no clue how to do it at first, but after going through some guides and fixing up a quick build, we finally managed to do it and the trophy pops. And now, get ready for the hardest trophy in the entire game. The trophy that almost made me lose my sanity. The most broken and unbalanced trophy. Peace at last. How do we get this trophy, you ask? Well, remember that one final family member that I talked about? He's the final secret super boss that we haven't taken down yet. He's located deep below the monolith where Ranor was sealed, where we have to jump down inside this hole, and boom, there he is, waiting for his next victim. What is his name, you ask? Is it Ludwig the Destroyer? Godwick the Immortal? No. Those names all sound like baby names compared to this one. His name is Simon. Yes, that's his full name, Simon. Now you're probably wondering, how can a guy named Simon be the hardest boss in the game? Like, come on bro, really? And I'll be honest, I thought that too. When I one shot at him in the first phase, I thought this is gonna be easy. But then, the second phase came. Now, not only is he back at full health, but every time he attacks, there is another delayed attack right after it that you need to parry at the perfect moment. Because if you don't, it doesn't matter if you have full health, full shields, or even if you're invincible, because this guy just bodies you in one hit. And it doesn't matter which attack it is. All he needs is one hit on you and you're back at the beginning. So you could be fighting this guy for hours, and in those hours, if you fail to parry even a single time, then all I can say is, it's over, bro. Now I can finally understand the feeling those poor small Nevans feel when I come up to one-shot them. Now I tried to learn his attack patterns, death after death, countless attempts. And when I finally got close to killing him, he decided to just erase us from the canvas? Ref, do something, man! And mind you, this is an undodgeable and unparable attack, so you just stare at him while he erases you just like that. And so the only way to beat him is to just keep trying over and over until you eventually hit a big number and kill him in one shot. And I tried everything, changing tactics, changing builds, but everything just seemed helpless. Is this where I give up? Should I abandon the platinum hunt for this game and move on to another? I was hopeless, ready to quit the game and accept defeat. Until this happened. Yes, you saw that right. I finally managed to kill him, and it was a cheesy one-shot build, but I don't care. I suffered enough and this was my breaking point. Now, with the hardest trophy finally out of the way, we can now continue our hunt for the platinum. The next trophy is called Follow the Trail, where we have to collect all journals from the previous expeditions. Some journals were out in the open, and for some we had to complete some quests and other stuff. But overall, pretty fun trophy, and on the final journal, the trophy pops. The next trophy is called Endless, which we get for completing the final tower of this giant endless tower, which apparently is not endless after all, but instead has 33 floors. Yep, they did it again. Anyways, we complete the final tower and we get the trophy. The next trophy on the list is called Noir et Blanc, which is a side quest trophy where we have to collect 3 parts of an Everon so that we can restore the color of this dungeon. And once we get them all, we place them inside this statue and we head on over to fight the mini-boss, which grants us the trophy after defeating him. Up next we have Caro Parfait, which is the trophy that we get for defeating this chromatic Nevron, which tries to run away and we have to chase him for a bit until he finally stops and fights you. And after defeating him, we get a trophy. On to the next trophy called Feat Collection. And first of all, I want to know what Sandfall meant by this trophy name. Anyways, in order to get the trophy, we have to acquire all of Monaco's skills, which we get by defeating specific types of Neverons, but you can't kill them with any character and you only have to kill them with Monaco. So we unfortunately had to spare some enemies from our Malnik build. We kill the last Neveron we need with Monaco, and with that the trophy pops. Next up on the list is Chroma Proficiency, which is for using a level 3 gradient attack. Basically what these attacks are is you have to spend AP in order to fill this bar up, and once it is full you can use one gradient attack, which is kind of like a mini ult. You can stack this up to 3 levels and there are different types of ults, with each one requiring more points than the previous one. So for this trophy you need to fill up the bar 3 times so that it reaches level 3, and because we were so overpowered by now and everyone was dying in one shot thanks to our Mal, we had to nerf ourselves a bit just so the enemies don't die before we fully fill up the meter. I decided to go for these 2 mimes in the open world, which can tank a lot of damage, and after a few minutes of just spending AP, we finally managed to fill up the bar to its maximum capacity, and we launched the gradient attack, granting us the trophy. And now we can finally start a new game plus and go back to the last 3 missable trophies I missed, with the first one being a peculiar encounter, which is for defeating this mime in the prologue of the game. Since this is a new game plus, we take him down easily. It would have probably been a bit harder if we fought him at the beginning of our first playthrough, but nonetheless we take him down and we get the trophy. The next missable trophy I missed is called Aiding the Enemy, which is for completing some side quests for these white Neverons, who somehow have a consciousness and can speak. They're all pretty straightforward and short, but the reason I missed this trophy is because at the beginning of my playthrough, I accidentally killed one of these Neverons before finishing their quest, and it locked me out of the trophy, so I had to redo all the quests again. But like I said, they're pretty easy and short to do, and for the final Neveron quest, we learned that all of the Neverons that we've been fighting throughout the entire game have actually been Clea's creations to fight against the Paintress, so that was a nice little lore drop, and with the last Neveron quest done, we get the trophy. We now have one last trophy to get before the platinum, and that trophy is called Connoisseur, which is for collecting all 33 music records. Like the previous genre collectibles, some of them can be found in the open world and some locked through quests, and the reason I missed this trophy on my first playthrough is because I forgot to pick up a music record at the prologue of the game. So after recollecting all the music records, I had one more music record left, which was for beating the game, so I literally had to complete the game again, just because I missed one music record at the beginning of the game. So after a few boring hours of going through the story again, we get to Ranor and defeat him, and also this scene is still fire, and with that we get the trophy along with the platinum, finally putting an end to our journey. Now that I have experienced the game myself and collected all the trophies, I can finally give my own opinion about this game. So, was it good? Did it deserve Game of the Year? Is this the best game mankind has ever received? And the answer to all of these questions is probably no. But before I say anything else, I just want to say this is my personal opinion of the game. If you want to try out the game yourself, then please do. Maybe you'll like it more than me. So now, why do I not like it that much? Well, don't get me wrong, the story was very good, especially with the plot twists at the end, but unfortunately, That's just the only thing good about this game. As you have seen by now, the game is a turn-based RPG, which is not really a genre of games I like that much. And sure, there were some awesome and fun moments, but for Game of the Year I expected a bit more than what it had to offer. There were a lot of other good nominees, which I also can't give my opinion on, since I haven't played them as well, but if you do want to watch me get the Platinums for them, then let me know in the comments below. So yeah, I personally think that it was a good game and I enjoyed playing it, but I don't think it was a Game of the Year good. Anyways, that's about it for this video. If you stick till the end, I wanna thank you so much, as these videos take quite a long time to make, so if you want to support me, then feel free to subscribe and like the video, and also comment what games do you want me to platinum next. Thanks again for watching and see you all in the next video.